Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys for tuning in. Another interview here on the Kingside Entertainment Hollywood Now platform. We're gonna get right into the interview. As you see, our great guest. But before I do that, I want to give some context to what we're here for and to introduce him properly, if I can do it any justice. He was born in the Bronx, New York. He's an American television personality, a talk show host, Fox Sports, a former member of the Air Force, U.S. Air Force, sport director at the WHAG TV, KC TV, Fresno, WKRN TV, Nashville, Fox Sports Net, ESPN Sports Anchor, American Pregame, Sharon and Mike on the Black News Channel, author. We here today with the great anchor, American personality, Mr. Mike Hill.
What's up, man? Happy to be among things, man. How you doing, bro? Appreciate that.
And
That means I've been around for a long time.
I was impressed, and I hope I gave you some justice because you have been putting in major work. One of our sportscasters, one of our just anchors, period, just has been underrated and not recognized enough. That's been doing a thing for a minute. And you know how that goes, you know, because you heard things, Don Lemon going on. So you do high profile work for years. People never recognize it till something happens and everybody know who you are. So, but you guys have been doing such great work consistently, and I'm so glad to have you on. Long time coming, right?
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. It's a pleasure to be on the show with you.
Thank you so much. So let's get started. Let's go on. How did it start for you as far as you knowing that you wanted to be whether a news personality? I'm sure everybody want to start being an anchor, but of course, you know, that's hard work. What's the journey been like? How did you get started and doing newscasting?
Oh man, a long time ago, like a lot of people, I had a passion for sports. I wanted to play sports, but I realized at an early age that I probably wasn't going to work out as far as making it to the NBA, the NFL, or Major League Baseball. You know, I was born in New York, like you said, and I was born right in the shadows of Yankee Stadium, so I've always been a Yankee fan. And I told my grandmother a long time ago that I was going to work in that stadium right across the street. Now, I thought at the time that I was actually going to be a player for the New York Yankees. I never knew that I was actually going to be reporting for the New York Yankees years later. So I still worked out for my dream of promising my grandmother I was going to be working in that stadium, but not in the capacity I wanted to. So once I realized I couldn't play sports for a living, man, I just figured out what kind of path could I take to actually still do something that I was passionate about, still get paid for it and enjoy it. And I started off thinking that I wanted to be a news broadcaster because I saw somebody in my community, in my city I was growing up in when I was in Alabama at the time, that had the same name as I did. And he was a reporter. He was a Black reporter. His name was Michael Hill. And I said, you know what? Maybe I can do that. And just, you know, God's path just kind of took me on that journey. And here we are 28 years later. I'm still here and I'm thankful for it.
No, amazing. Like I said, you have been consistent and your work has been phenomenal. So I'm just saying, like, we should hear of you more. But you've been doing excellent work. Sometimes the news is not, because it's not like, you know, a start out what we need to know basis. We don't tend to like enjoy, you know, say watch the news. I guess they try to make some type of dynamic with the daytime talk show oriented, how they mix the two of daytime talk and news, but hard news never gets, you know, I was like, oh, I like that guy, but we always had our people we do like, you know what I'm saying? So it's wonderful that you have been that person, and it just, you know, we wanted more recognition that you have been reporting the news for a long time and doing an excellent job at doing it. So and in that journey, we know it's tough because we hear Oprah Winfrey's story about her journey and Gail's journey, starting off in the newsroom and working their way up to anchor. It's no easy task. Could you let us in a little bit on what that journey been like for you, making it to anchor?
It's been tough, man. It's like, you know, some ups and downs. I wouldn't change for anything. Everything I've gone through, even the burdens have turned out to be blessings. Everything is a life experience. It's a life lesson. That I have no regrets in anything I've done or any path that I've chosen. You know, you deal with a lot of things that a lot of people deal with in ordinary society, man. Like, you know, you being in a newsroom, trying to make it up. You know, you could be somebody's favorite anchor one moment, and then somebody else comes in and takes over a supervisory role, and then you could be the worst anchor that they have. You know, it's just like almost playing for a sports team, to be honest with you. You work your way up, starting from, you know, going to school. Then you hopefully make it in, you get into the minors, which are the smaller markets or whatever. And then you just hope you work your way up to the minors and one day make it into the major leagues. And then once you make it into the major leagues, you still got to try and keep your spot, man. So it's it's been a tough journey, up and down. But once again, it's been the best career that I ever could have picked. I love what I do. I have a passion for what I do. I thank God every morning for what I do. I want to do even more. I want to branch out even more. Everything that you kind of talked about and the things that I've done in front of the camera, I want to do behind the camera as well. I also want to expand and do more acting and producing and writing and scripted or reality show, all those type of things that I'm doing, man. I want to continue to do. So the journey continues, even though it's been 28 years, man. There's been ups and downs and highs and lows. Once again, I wouldn't change anything about it. And I'm excited about what's to come.
Amazing, amazing. So this is amazing to you. What has been your, when you look back in hindsight and you see the body of work that you've done, what's some of the rewarding things that you kind of relegate on when you watch your body of work?
Well, looking back, just the fact that I've been able to do it and a lot of times do it my way, that's been part of the issue, man. Sometimes when you talk about the ups and downs and the journeys, not everybody's going to like the way you do it. I'm a person that didn't grow up with a silver spoon in his mouth. I didn't go the traditional route of actually getting in. I didn't go to a 4-year university. I was in the military and had to kind of go through the school of hard knocks, learn the hard way, went to a broadcasting school, went to school while I was in the military, got rejected 75 times before I got my first job and first opportunity or whatever. And then still, because I didn't come from a traditional background or whatever, just still trying to navigate and have that fraternity of brothers and sisters that a lot of my colleagues have. I don't have in a lot of ways. But the great thing that I love about it is that I did go the unconventional way, and I can look back and I can be proud that here I am once again, 28 years later. And for the past 18 years, 19 years, I've been at a network, which is the goal of everybody. If you're in this business, especially if you're in the news or broadcast, everybody wants to make it to a network. And not everybody does. I mean, it's a small percentage of people that make it to the network, and it's a small percentage, even smaller percentage of those people that make it for more than 10 years. So the fact that I've been here almost 18, 19 years and I'm still going, and I feel like there's more to come. I mean, that's what I'm most proud of. I'm most proud that I was able to, at times, most of the time, do it my way. And once again, I have no regrets. Everything that I've gone through in life, even the times I've been fired in this position, in my jobs, and the opportunity that I didn't get, I'm very thankful for it because it's made me a better person.
No, that's interesting. Very good. You said that, and that's a good segue into my next question. Share your sentiments about what's been going on with Don Lemon. We've seen it before in many places. In many cases that played out with even with Lathan, Don Lemon, with Sharon Osbourne. These high-profile news, anchors and television personalities says something or do something, and it's disposable, and it's a lot of bureaucracy because we don't know what was the detailed, clear thing that got him fired. So it's interesting because maybe you could share some light on it, because even with me following Don Lemon, I've been reporting that. I'm looking through the transcripts and all the reports. There's nobody could pinpoint, or nobody would say what he said and what he done that had got him fired. And it still is kind of like in the air, but maybe people who are on the inside know. But can you kind of like share some sentiments about how you feel about people being disposable, or is it politics? Like what's going on?
It's all the above. I mean, we're all disposable. I think in this business, we choose to be in the entertainment business, period. Whether that's being a broadcaster, being an actor, producer, or being reality television, or even just these celebrities who are out here as social media influencers or whatever. We're all kind of disposable. You're loved today and you're hated tomorrow, man. But once again, you don't get into it to just be loved by everybody all the time. You're going to have your ups and downs, but the strong survive. Speaking on the Don Lemon situation, I really can't speak on it because I don't know the insight as to exactly why that happened. I feel bad anytime anyone loses his job, except Tucker Carlson. I'm happy that he lost his job because I couldn't stand him. But the thing is, anytime any of your colleagues, and I've been there before, you lose your job, you don't get your contract renewed or whatever. I mean, it's tough. And then the thing about it is, when you're on television or you're a public figure, the entire world knows about it. People can get let go from their job, and people get let go from their jobs every day. People get fired from their jobs every day. A lot of times, and you never hear about it. The family members or close friends hear about it, and they try and get that job search can continue to go. But a lot of times when it's public, the way it is, especially when it comes to like guys like Don Lemon or whatnot, and Some of the things that you hear may have been the cause of it, like taking over an interview the way he did, some of your colleagues not liking you. I do believe that in this business, even though they say you can't be blackballed, I do believe that there is a hint of truthfulness to it, because I know for sure I've gone through it myself. When I got fired in Dallas and looking for a job, I was out of work for a year and a half. And I do believe that there are people who, even though they're not legally supposed to be saying negative things about you, and even though it could be lies, people do listen to other people that you've worked with. So one of the things that I've learned to do, and I know, and I think this is just me being natural, is that not only my skills have to speak for me, but my personality and my character have to speak for me as well. So when I go to a job, I try and be humble. I try and have good energy. I try and get along with everybody. And one of the things I think you can hear when it comes to Mike Hill and my life and my character and my work ethic is that he's not only pretty good at what he does, but he's a really nice guy. So I think that goes a long way. So I'm wishing the best for Don and anybody else that's lost their job. I know he'll be able to bounce back because he's too talented to stay out of work. I just think that we all learn something from everything that we go through when it comes to being fired. When I got fired in Dallas, it just made me realize that I need not to take a lot of things for granted. And then when I lost my job at ESPN after being there for 9 years, after they messed up my contract or whatever, they decided not to renew my contract, I realized that, hey, you know what? I wasn't as happy as a lot of people on the outside looking in thought I was anyway. So it was time for a change. And I believe that was God's gift to me to basically give me the opportunity to move on. So like I said, it happens and it's public, but at the same time, it's what we deal with. And at the end of the day, if you love what you do, it's worth it.
Yeah, it's amazing. So please let us know, those who are on the outside looking in, your journey, like you said, has been your own, on your own terms, but how much influence or how much decision making you have on the choices of stories you report on, and to what depth?
Yeah. I mean, and that's important to me. I mean, like, especially when I was at Black News Channel, I was in my contract, I made sure that I was a managing editor. So like, if my name is on a show, I will definitely have pretty much final call on anything. When I was still at Fox Sports, when I had America's pregame, I was in the meetings and you go in there and you give your opinion. I think it's so important. I think it's also a responsibility for people, especially people of color or people who are so-called minorities, women, LGBTQ community, Black people, to be able to go in these meetings and be able to have a voice and not just be a face. Because a lot of times we have representation on air when it comes to journalism or being on the news or broadcast or giving out information, and I'll put a face up. But I think what's more important than having a face, whether that face is on television or behind the scenes as an executive, is having a voice. So I'd much rather have Black voices in the room or rather than Black faces, and I mean that by saying that it doesn't necessarily have to be a Black person to actually say something. If it's a white person who understands that, hey, what we're about to put out here is going to affect some people of color, or it's not, it's not fair to how we're presenting certain things. We present something on one side, and when it concerns one group of people, and you can report it this way, but it could be the same situation, but it's involving another group of people of color, and we report it totally differently. I think people need to speak up in those rooms. So it's so important, and I definitely speak up. And I don't know, sometimes that could be a negative thing, but once again, if I do, I don't care. Once again, it's my responsibility. And if I'm presenting the news, if I'm presenting the information out there, I'm going to make sure it's going to be fair, it's going to be accurate, and it's going to be precise. And, I'm trying to entertain, of course, and I'm going to get some sensational. You got to keep the people interested or whatever. But at the same time, man, I think it's really dangerous when a lot of people put things out there that might not be true or skewed a certain way. So, yeah, I definitely speak up, and I encourage other people to speak up, too.
Yeah. What's your one of your favorite things about being a sports newscaster? What's one of your most favorite things about it?
The thing is, and I've gotten to the point where I don't even consider myself a sportscaster anymore. I consider myself a broadcaster.
Right.
So when somebody calls, it's good. And I understand that's what I've been known for, and I've been doing it for such a long period of time. But since I've expanded and I got an entertainment company, Thrill of Entertainment, it's a production company, whatever, I consider myself a broadcaster. So when you look at sports or news, you can be a sportscaster, you can be a newscaster. So a newscaster does news, a sportscaster does sports. I do everything. I do entertainment, I do sports, I do news, I do lifestyle. I can talk about relationships. I can do all those things. So that's a broad range of things that I can talk about. So I think it's really important also to label yourself or to market yourself a certain way. So when people talk to me or they refer to me or give me titles, I would much rather be called a broadcaster. So it's important for me, and I love that. And I think that's I forgot what your question was, but
one of your things about being, now we know, the broadcaster. What's
yeah,
one?
my favorite thing is that I am diverse, is that I am somebody who can do it all. That's what's kept me around. I don't think that anybody coming into this business, I don't think you should just be a one-trick pony, because times change, things have changed a lot over the last 28, 30 years since I've been in this business, and you have to evolve. And if you don't evolve, you don't shift, you're going to be left behind. You're going to become a dinosaur. Same thing with companies, like you look at Kodak Film, you look at Blockbuster Video, whatnot. If you don't change with the times, then you're going to be obsolete. You can be hot one day and obsolete the next. So that's why I'm saying that I can do news, I can do sports, I can do entertainment, I can do lifestyle, I can talk about relationships, I can host a show, I can anchor a show, I can be part of an ensemble, I can be part of a duo, I can solo host, I can do all those. And I think it's really important for everybody that's in this business, especially starting off, that you continue to keep an open mind and keep yourself diverse as possible.
Yeah, I see one of your credits was the Black News Channel, and I remember when Roland Martin gave his report about what he felt like happened with that network. Do you have any sentiment about what happened with that network? One, it was doing great, it was thriving. Next minute, it folded. Do you have any sentiments that you want to share about what happened to the Black News Channel?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what Roland said. What did Roland say? Well,
misappropriating funds. They had a lot of funding. Then all of a sudden they didn't have no funding. Maybe it was spending it in the wrong place. He probably alluded to that, something to that effect.
It's easy for people from the outside looking in to say things like that and to make those judgments. Once again, it's like you don't know exactly what's going on. There's a lot of people that was talking about what happened at Black News Channel behind the scenes. A lot of people were upset. I mean, obviously, I still haven't been paid for the services I rendered when I was at Black News Channel. I was still on the contract for another 2 years and making a lot of money, but it's all good and said. This is their set, to be honest with you. So at least I got a set out of it. I'll say that. I don't know, man. I think sometimes you can be you can be progressive and you can have great intentions and you want to be aggressive when starting off, but you got to have backing. So my assessment of what happened is I think there are some mistakes. I think they did grow maybe too quickly, launching so many shows for a network or a station that people didn't even know existed. The sad thing about the Black News Channel is, I'll say this, there's two things. My opinion is, I think if you invest in Black people, you need to invest in their future and not invest in them or invest in their culture, invest in their well-being as far as growing, and not just invest so that you can make money off of Black people. And I think when you have somebody who owns or is a CEO, not the CEO, but the owner, which was Shad Khan at the time, if you have somebody who invests in Black people and feel like they're just going to get money because of the plight or the struggle of Black people at that time, then, and you don't get it right away, and then you divest, then you're doing Black people a disservice. So I will say that. Secondly, I think that there wasn't enough of a interest, in a sense, even though at that particular time when we first came out, it was right during the pandemic, like a year into the pandemic. A lot of things was happening. Obviously, we still, we had the situation with George Floyd that was going on, Ahmaud Arbery, Ketanji Brown Jackson, First and Prince. So a lot of things was happening in the Black community that, people have clamored for when it came to Black issues or whatever. We have a problem, and I will say this, and it might get criticized for it, but I think sometimes Black people can beg and plead for something, but when you get it, you have to support it. And I don't think that enough people supported it once we got it. Now, a lot of people say we never heard of it, right? But you say you look for it and that's what you want, But when you get it, you don't support it, and you don't tell other people that they need to support it as well, so that we can get more. Even if you don't like it, you need to support it a little bit more and let people know, hey, this is exactly what we're looking for. Here's how you can improve, but this is what we're looking for, so we can get more of that. Because what happens is, especially if you get non-Black people who are putting the money behind a Black product, and that product goes down or it doesn't make any money, then all of a sudden you're giving the people who are investing, the people who are non-Black, the excuse to say, hey, we tried that, it didn't work, nobody supported it, so why am I going to put my money behind the next project when it comes to that? It was so sad that when it went down, and they filed for bankruptcy, and we started trending. That was the first time that Black news channel had started trending, and that was the first time that people started talking about it on social media, and people were saying, well, we didn't even know it existed, so that could be twofold. It could be because BNC didn't do a great job of marketing and putting it out there and making sure that people knew about it or whatever, and then also the people that didn't know about it didn't spread the word that, hey, we finally got what we were looking for, we need to support it.
Yeah, and then also, if I could chime in, the time it came out was so much uncertainty in the middle of a pandemic. That's, to even discover who the network was and people discovering and rediscovering who they are. Like, that was a challenging time. It's definitely uncertain because we didn't know, what was going to be the next move. It looked so dark at that particular time.
Well, I mean, but that was the thing. I thought it was the perfect time because we were looking for, at that time, we had so many Black issues that involved us. And we've always complained about how CNN covers something, how MSNBC covers something. Fox News don't even cover it. You know what I mean? Or other networks don't even cover it that way. It takes a miracle. It takes social media push or outrage from social media by people in Black Twitter to get ABC, NBC, or CBS to even think about covering it, in a sense, when it comes to their national news coverage or whatnot. So we finally had a news channel that was dedicated to just us, to Black people, to the diaspora, not just Black people in this country, but Mark Lamont Hill's show talked about people in Africa and other countries or whatever and stuff like that, so that people who are so-called immigrants who had come to this country to live here as Black people, they could still find out more about us and about themselves or whatever, and find out what's going on in their country. And once again, it was a platform, it was there, and now it's gone. Same thing with BET. BET had news at one point. Nobody supported BET News, but they will support ratchet stuff like reality shows, which I'm not going to trip on it or whatever. It's entertaining, don't get me wrong or whatever, but we clamor for the things that we say we want as far as the intelligent stuff when it comes to things that's going to promote us in a positive light or give us at least a platform that we deserve. But then we don't support it, but we'll support the stuff that's kind of controversial in a sense. I'll just put it.
Yeah, that's good to me. I want to touch a little bit on your book. You authored a book called Open Mic.
Mm-hmm.
And it was about your many triumphs. Talk about a couple of triumphs that you share in the book.
I mean, look, I've been through a lot, man. I mean, the things I've been able to overcome in my book, I wrote about, my mom seeing so much abuse when I was a kid, domestic violence, verbally, physically, talking about growing up in the environment that I grew up in, being a man or being taught how to be a man, but not necessarily the way to be a man, a real man in a sense. I was, talked about my, best friend being killed in the drive-by shooting, all this trauma that I endured when I was a kid, not making any excuses for it or holding myself or not holding myself accountable for any of the things that I did because of those things and whatnot. But these are the things that I kind of went through in my life. Once again, the domestic violence, seeing my best friend killed, finding out my stepdad was a hitman and all that type of stuff. And he spent the last 9 years of his life murder for hire in prison. Biological father not being in my life, the ups and downs, trials and tribulations of the things I went through when I was coming up in this network, in this industry and broadcasting, whatever. All those things that I talked about, but I also talked about the mistakes that I made. And that's why I called it Open Mic, because I wanted to be really open about my past and transparent about the past and the things and the mistakes that I made personally and professionally, and where I think those traumas came from and what led to those things, and how, through therapy and mental health help that I was able to figure it out and now try and make it better for the next person coming along. So, I enjoy the book. I'm proud of the book. It's right behind me right here. And it's still out there, man. So the best thing that I get out of it is that people will hit me up and they'll say they've read the book and it's changed their lives, or they'll pass it along to their nephew or their son or their husband, and they'll say, hey, I want him to read it because these are the types of stories that people need to hear about, and the type of transparency that needs to be out there a little bit more, so that people, we can get better as a people.
Yeah, yeah. You also been trending in the news for something probably very, very challenging to discuss. But Mrs. Bailey did a podcast recently, and she said great things. She said that you guys are in a great place. So, what is your sentiments of that far as like you guys are amicable and it's like it was mutual? What do you agree with any of what she stated in the podcast she just did recently?
Yeah, we're in a good place, man. That's Cynthia is my buddy, man. Like the good thing about us is that we established our friendship before we got married, so we still had that basis. And once again, people will make it out to be or just assume what they want to when a marriage dissolves. And like I said, I think me being honest about my past and mistakes that I made, people just automatically assume and jump to conclusions that something happened. And she said numerous times, and I've said numerous times, it was nobody's fault. Nothing happened. It was just that sometimes people just kind of grow apart. And especially when we had a long distance relationship. Yeah. And when you move in together, you just kind of, oh, wow, this, I didn't know this, you didn't know this, blah, blah. And it's like, and you kind of going through some things at that particular time. And then there's, energy that comes from that or whatever. And then, you don't want to lose your friendship. So you say, hey, you know what, we can fight for this, and we fought for it, and we can go to counseling. But at the end of the day, you kind of realize, well, man, maybe we didn't know each other as much as we thought we did, right. So that was it, man. But I still support her and love her the way I used to. And I wish her nothing but the best of luck, man.
No, she definitely dispelled all infidelity rumors. She definitely put a stop to all that, and definitely said you guys are friends. You guys been friends and working on that, and continue to be friends. And that was the main thing. She didn't want to lose her friend, and that was what it's all about. And just glad you guys found that space to where you guys could definitely still be cordial, and and like I said, you still can have a lot of love and respect and support from one another.
Absolutely, man. I think that's important. I think people need to realize that just because a relationship ends, whether it be a professional relationship or even a friendly relationship, sometimes you don't have to have animosity towards one another. Sometimes you just grow apart. There are reasons, seasons, and lifetimes. And these are the things that I've been able to accept, that everybody that's in your house or your life for a reason won't be in your life for a season, or seasons won't be a lifetime. So I accept that, and I don't try and cut people off or hold any grudges against anybody because of something I feel like they've wronged me. And Cynthia didn't wrong me, anything like that. But if we grow apart, we grow apart. But it doesn't mean that if I come together and see you, that I'm going to have some kind of conflict with you. There is a healing part of it because, obviously when you get married, you think it's going to be forever. And obviously there are some things and some traumas that's come out ever since then that, people, you get hit certain ways. And I had to admit that, because I'm big on mental health. I'm very big on therapy when it comes to, just the perception that's been out there over the last 6 months or whatever. And I'm trying to grow and trying to show people that I'm a changed man, a different person. But once again, those are the types of things that kind of affect your credibility. But at the end of the day, I can pray to God and to say, you know what? I got to let people think what they want to, man. I'm going to walk the path I need to walk on, and everything that I'm going through is because God wanted to go through, and I'm protected, man. So I'm good, bro.
No, I absolutely. And I just think because I had the pleasure of interviewing now both of you guys, both Cynthia and you now. And I know watching it on Bravo, it's definitely a fairy tale. You guys had a beautiful wedding, and it, in your mind, is think like, oh, another Black love you're rooting for, and that was a good thing. I think that's what people was kind of like, oh man, that it ended so soon. I guess they was disappointed because, believe it or not, people are rooting for power couples to be, just that example. And
I'm glad you brought that up. It's crazy because I'm actually, when I get off this podcast with you, I'm actually going to shoot. I do this thing called Mic Check on Instagram. Yeah. And I'm starting to expand it a little bit more. And I was waiting for a graphic to come in, but that's what my next Mic Check is going to be exactly about, of not allowing someone else's failures to stop you from trying. not stopping you, because look, we go through things, man. You see people around you that you root for, that you see as an example, and sometimes it fails, but it shouldn't stop you or disappoint you and make you feel like you can't find love, because that's been one of the hardest things to hear. It's like, oh my God, and I understand people are disappointed and upset because they rooted for us or whatever, and yeah, I get that, but at the same time, I hate hearing people, and I understand why, but I just hope they get out of this mindset like, oh, I'm just gonna give up. If y'all can't make it, then I can't. Come on, man. That's a little too far fetched, man. Especially when it comes to public figures. Yeah, I mean, you know I'm talking. I'm telling the truth. I'm just gonna give up on love. You guys were like, but you don't understand everything. Like, you see a public figure, you don't know the intricacies, the intimacy that goes in behind the scenes. A lot of times public figures put out what they want you to see because they're trying to protect their reputation or their image or whatever. I'm one of those people that's going to put out everything and let people just say, hey, you know what? We have bad days just like everybody else. And I don't want you to feel like you're alone. I don't want you to feel like you got to live up to these expectations and this is a perfect life. And if you're not living this perfect life, then your life sucks. That's how a lot of people feel these days. So I look at things like, you look at a business. Businesses fail way more than marriages fail. Over 50% of marriages fail, but over 80, 90% of businesses, first-time businesses fail too. You think Jeff Bezos, you think Warren Buffett, you don't think they had friends that had businesses that failed? You think if they would have said, oh my gosh, he's such a good, brilliant mind, and I can't believe his business failed. I'm not going to invest. I'm just scared. It didn't work for you. It didn't work. No, man, what's for you is for you. And you got to understand that. A lot of people already doubt you. So why should you be one of those people?
Okay, we're going to end with this. You can be transparent one more time. And in hindsight of the marriage, what do you think you would have done differently? Looking back on
it. Nothing. I don't think I wouldn't have done anything different. I mean, I just think that, what everything happens for a reason, bro. I mean, so Solomon, it's just like, there was nothing I would have done differently. I think we could have communicated more. I just think that, once again, I wish I would have been more into mental health when I first met her. I was growing and becoming a different person or whatever, but I never claimed to have wings on. There are certain things that I needed to grow up and become. And I think both of us needed to address certain things. But I think what we went through and how our situation ended, or the issues that we had in our marriage, I think we can learn from them, and it's going to make us better. Maybe we weren't meant to be together forever. Maybe we were meant to be for that moment so that we can grow to be what we are supposed to be in our lives. And that's the way I look at it.
Now that's amazing, because especially when both of you guys were married, were with or married to really prominent people, or just great people or successful people. It's like, it's not about doing better. It's about like, wow, where do I go from here? And you guys continue to, at least and from outside looking in, connect with big personalities and powerful people. So it's like, when you go from there, you know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Man, you go up. You just don't say, man, look, bro, I'm happy. Yeah. That's the thing. I just want her to be happy too. Yeah. And so when you look at your spouse, you love somebody wholeheartedly. When you love somebody, you just know that the other person you're with isn't happy. You can't make them happy, right? I do believe she can't make me happy. I couldn't make her happy. Yeah. But if there's something that is taken away from her happiness and you feel like you might be the cause of it, then I will remove myself from that, because I don't want to make anybody unhappy if you're already happy by yourself, or if you're unhappy, I don't want to make you miserable. And I'm damn sure not going to let anybody make me miserable or take away from me and my energy or whatever. So if that can't happen, if that can't work, then it's time to move on. And once again, I think we remain good friends because we realize that, hey, you know what? We're just starting to suck life out of each other. And so we need to continue to grow and move on and not allow it to get to the point where we are saying negative things about each other.
No, that's great. Now you guys have done that. And even she said she still refers to you as her husband because divorce isn't final. So she still
so. Oh, yes. Well, that was an old interview because it is now.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
that was nice. That was nice. That was a nice gesture.
yeah, it is now. But like I said, we're still cool. I have no problem with her.
Please let them know where they can find you at, what's next, how they can connect with you. Please let the audience know.
All right, you can hit me on social media on It's Mike Hill, ITS Mike Hill on Instagram, on Twitter. My company Thrill of Entertainment. I got a couple of productions that I'm working on right now. One documentary that's pretty big. I'm still trying to get that on air situations figured out, whether I want to do sports. I'm still at Fox Sports. And mic checks, more mic checks. I'm really developing that. A lot of people seem to grasp a hold of that and that information, that inspiration that I put out on social media. So I'm about to expand that as well. So look out for those on Instagram.
Amazing. Definitely. Thank you so much for doing the platform. Hopefully come back real soon. You're welcome to come back anytime. Anything that you're promoting, please come back to King Solomon Entertainment. We appreciate you. Thank you so much, Mike, for doing it. Long time coming. We finally here. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, King Solomon. Appreciate you, man.
Right. Guys, subscribe, share this link, share this interview. Mike Hill, King Solomon Entertainment, Hollywood Now. We appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys support us directly. That is the Cash App to do so. Make sure you guys subscribe. All the links are in the comment and going across. Until next time, guys. Thank you so much. Hollywood Now. Thank you.
Thanks, bro.
All right.
Appreciate you, man.